Hi boys and girls, welcome to your first flipped classroom video of 5th grade. In this video, I'm going to talk about the first lesson that we'll do this year, which is Topic 1, Lesson 1, and it is called Place Value. Different digits that we have are 0, 1, 2, 3, etc., all the way up to 9. Those are digits. Digits are put together to make numbers. And the place of a digit in a number tells you what its value is. So this is a place value chart, and it helps us understand how much each specific digit is worth. As you notice on this chart here, it says that as we go to the left, numbers are getting bigger. So think about it. Thousands and millions and billions are bigger than ones, right? And as we go to the right, numbers get smaller. We have thousands and then the ones. That's smaller, and then we have decimals, which are even smaller. So, place value charts help us recognize what value a number has. For example, if I put the number 9 here in the 10 spot, that would be a different value than if I had a 9 over here in the million spot. Okay? You may notice that these numbers are kind of grouped into categories. We have hundreds, tens, and ones. That makes up this ones group, and those groups are called periods. Every 3 numbers are put together in a period. Then we have the thousands period, which is made up of thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. Then the millions period, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions. And the billions period, billions, 10 billions, 100 billions. We won't go larger than that for this class. Between every period, we put a comma. If you notice between the green period and this purple period, I put commas. So in the next slide, I'm going to talk about how we read really large numbers like this. Alrighty, if I have a really big number like this one here, we need to think about how I read this number. So we know that the first period is the ones period, and then we had that thousands period, and then we had the millions period. When we're reading really large numbers like this, we read the whole group of numbers together, so 124, and then when you see a comma, you say the period. So 124 million. Now I'll read these 3 numbers together. 906 makes 906, and comma means to say the period. 1,000, 174 together makes 174. So listen to how I would read this number. 124 million, 906,174. In this lesson, we'll also learn different forms of numbers, which are different ways to write numbers. We have the standard form, expanded form, and word form. Standard form of a number would be something like this, 7,123. Standard form is the way that we normally write numbers, which is using digits, commas, and maybe decimal points as we get to smaller numbers. So if I told you to write the standard form of 5/10, you would write 0.5. We wouldn't write 5 over 10 because that's a fraction. Standard form uses digits, which are 0 through 9, decimal points, or commas. The next form we have is expanded form. Expanded form takes the value of each digit and adds it up. For example, 7,123. This first digit here is a 7, and it's in the thousands place, so it's worth 7,000. That's what I mean when I'm talking about value. What is each number worth? This is a 1, and it's in the hundreds place, so it's worth 100. This 2 is in the tens place, so it's worth 20, and this is just a 3. So I'm going to take each value of each digit here in this number, I'm going to write them out, and I'm going to add them up. This here is expanded form. If I had something like 149, the expanded form would be 100 plus 40 plus 9. And these should add up to the original number that you started with. The last form that we're going to talk about is word form. When we have a number and we're writing it in word form, we're writing down all the words that we would say when we say the number out loud. So this number here is 2,349. So my word form is 2,000, and I have a comma there, so I'm going to put a comma as well, 349. Two-digit numbers bigger than 30 get a hyphen in between them like this, 49. Notice how I don't have an and right here. We should not say 2,349. Ands are for decimal points. We don't have any decimal points here, so I shouldn't have the word and here. So this is how I would write the word form of this number. One thing that we need to know when we talk about place value is that as we go to the right, numbers are getting smaller. But every hop on this place value chart, the numbers are actually getting 10 times smaller. That's important to know. And if you can imagine, if we're going to the right and the numbers get 10 times smaller, as we go to the left, the numbers get 10 times bigger. So, for example, if I had a 2 in these three place value spots, this 2 here is 10 times bigger than this 2 here, which this 2 is 10 times bigger than that 2 there. So each number as we go left gets 10 times bigger, and as we go to the right it gets 10 times smaller. So if I had the number 200 and I asked you to make this number 10 times bigger, I would move all of those digits to the left. So my 2 would move here, my 0 would move here, my 0 would move here, and since I have nothing in the one spot, I put another 0. So to make 200 10 times bigger, it would become 2,000. Another question that you might get in this lesson would be something like, what is 12,492,837 increased by 100,000? It's important to know that increased means getting bigger and decreased means getting smaller. So if I'm increasing this number by 100,000, I'm going to find the 100,000s place, which I know this is the thousands period. This is 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000 right here. And I'm making it 100,000 bigger. So I'm going to increase this number by 1. This would be my new number. You could also, since it's increased, increase means getting bigger, we could also add 100,000 to our original number, and that should give us the same answer. Let's see if we get the same exact thing. So I'm going to add 100,000 here. And when I do so, I should get the same thing I got by just adding 1 to the hundreds thousands place. And I did. So that would be my answer. Here's a question that you also might see in this lesson. Mrs. Madison has 700 books. Miss Emery has 1/10 as many. How many books does Miss Emery have? I want you guys to know that 1/10 as many also means 10 times less. We talked earlier that when we have a place value chart, here's my ones place, my tens, my hundreds, etc. When we have a place value chart, as we go to the right, things get 10 times smaller, and as we go to the left, they get 10 times bigger. So if Mrs. Madison has 700 books and Miss Emery has 1/10 as many, I told us that 1/10 as many means 10 times less. So I need to make this number 10 times smaller. And I can do that by scooting all of my numbers one place value spot to the right. Scooting things one place value spot to the right makes them 10 times smaller. So I scooted everything over once to the right, and I got my new number, 70, which would be the answer to this. Miss Emery would have 70 books, and Mrs. Madison has 700. All right, boys and girls, it's time for you to give this a try. On the left is a picture of what your video sheet looks like that you got for homework, right down here. Okay, this is 1-1, So here where it says response, where I just put a square, that's where you would write your answer to this problem. If you were watching this problem and you had any questions that you'd like to remember to ask me tomorrow, you could do that right here where it says question or thought I had during the video. So your question is to write 3,458,992 in expanded form. Again, you're going to do that right here, okay? And you will bring this with you tomorrow to get full credit if you did that. You need to show any work that you had as you're doing this as well. And I will check these over tomorrow. You don't have to write the question down, just the answer and any work. Good luck!